Hey guys, welcome to the Thursday Thunder edition of the Friday Wrap. Geez, we've been all over the place the last month. I think we've had one Friday in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Tomorrow on the Gold Coast is a public holiday, and I don't know if I'm working or surfing or golfing, so I'm getting a Thursday Thunder done for you guys, and it's a beauty. Let's have a look. What is the best use of your money? Now, I get asked this all the time. And I have a little story that I'll share as I go through. But it's really important that you understand, the money that you've got, making sure it's working as hard as it can. So let's have a look at what is the best use of your money. Now, I do put in the disclaimer this week because I don't want you to just go out and go, oh, Jay said this. It's important that if you do make decisions and it has a consequence to taxes or earnings or things like that, you need to get the appropriate advice. So please make sure that you do that. All right, what is the best use of your money? It depends on your objectives. My whole life is, what are your objectives? What are the strategies that we can implement to help you achieve those objectives? And then what are the products? If someone comes to sell you a product, they're not worried about your objectives. They're worried about selling you their product. So let's try and figure out what it is you're trying to achieve. So if you've got some money, is it needed, in the short to medium term? Or is it just for a long term, I want to grow this as much as I can strategy, okay? So if you have a need for this money in the short term, then you're more defensive assets, cash, term deposits, things like that. If you've got no need for the money in the short term, then you're more looking for growth, aggressive assets. Now, the story that I share with people, I always say, if I make this bigger, imagine you had a great uncle you didn't even know existed, and all of a sudden you had a $250,000 inheritance. And you came to me and said, Jace, I've got $250,000. I want you to help me invest this money. And I go, great. So we're going to invest $250,000. Oh, no, hang on a minute. We're going to spend $50,000. We were going to travel around the world, but we can't get out of the country. We were going to travel around the country, but we can't get out of the state. So now we're just going to do a lap around Queensland, or maybe a couple, and we'll come home when we run out of, say, 50 grand. We're going to leave you with 200,000. And I'm like, great. How long do you think you'll be gone for? And you go, like, maybe a year. And I go, what do you want to do with the money when you get back? Now, this is where it comes into what are your objectives? Because you might say, when we get back, we need that money to go and buy our own home. Okay, we don't want to buy an investment property or buy anything now because it's going to be sitting vacant, so for a year, whatever. Okay, you come back in 1 year's time and you use that money to buy a house. We have a short-term approach, a short-term play, so we're focused on defensive assets, maybe a term deposit, something like that. If you go, you know what, mate, we've got our own home, we've got some investments, this is just a windfall gain that we weren't expecting, we want to invest this as hard as we can until we retire, so we're better off at retirement. We've got a long-term play, okay? We're looking for long-term growth-oriented strategies. Short-term, defensive, long-term, growth, aggressive. Right, what are some options for you? If you've got a short-term play, you can put your money in the bank. I did some Googling this morning. You'll be lucky to get 4%. Although Westpac, and I hate to use numbers, but they've got a pretty cool product where you can earn up to 3%, but you've got to be under age 30 and you've got to have so much money, or up to $30,000 or something like this. But, if you're under age 30 and you meet their requirements, maybe that little strategy, that little bank account is going to be a good one for you. But generally at the moment, money in the bank, 0.4 was about as good as I could find. Term deposits, it's a little bit of a higher earn. It's 0.7. What if you've got a home? Yeah, your own principal residence. You can put your money into your home loan as an offset account. So you can have an offset account and put your money in the offset. You're probably going to save somewhere in the low twos. Yeah, I mean, mine's fixed at the moment at 1.89. The variable portion is low twos. So instead of putting money in the bank or in a term deposit, you can put it in an offset account and you're saving somewhere around 2% in interest. It's much better than these two. If you've got an investment property, the interest rates are higher. A variable interest rate may be low 3%. Okay. Now you need to take into consideration that you put money in the offset of an investment property. You're going to not pay as much interest, which the tax benefit isn't as great, but the return is still higher than the ones along the way. So these are all defensive assets, but if you need the money in the short term, there's some options for you. What about if you are more long-term growth oriented? if you're young, say I'm young, I'm 41 years old. I'm an aggressive investor. I'm a growth-oriented investor. If I want to be in the market, as in the share market, managed funds, things like that, I'm going to put my money in this proportion: 45% Australian shares, 40% international shares, 15% property. It's averaged 9.4% per annum over the last 10 years. Over the last 20 years, it's had 6 negative years, still maintaining that 9.4% return. 2 negative years in the last 10. So that's somewhere where I want to have my money invested. You can see up here, we were hoping to save 2 or 3% if we had money in an offset account. Here, we're trying to grow at a much higher percent. You might want to use a strategy where you use that money to buy property. But as you can see, we are about growing our money in this strategy. If you saw my strategy last week, that whole debt recycling where we pay money off the home loan, grab it out of a linked account or a split account and go and invest it and turn it into a deductible loan, maybe that's a strategy that you use. What are your objectives? What are the strategies? What are the products? First, we need to know what you want to achieve. Then we need to know how you can do it. Then we work out what there is to do it. Guys, what's the best use of your money? That is this week's Thursday wrap. I hope you guys have a great end of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. All right.